What's going on? Welcome to the Reseller Greatness Podcast. And if you have stumbled here for the first time, that's Michelle's introduction every single time she does a call. If you have stumbled into the Crowling call for the first time, and then she gives her excellent disclaimer that we are going to be talking about clothes that fit on the human body. And you run a very great call that every time I watch it, I learn about it. So I'm very thankful for you coming on here. We did a podcast a couple months ago. It had a great traction. We got like almost 15,000 views in one weekend. So that was very good. So I do thank you for coming on again. It's the beginning of a new year. I hope everybody is doing well. We're going to talk about sell through. I have an analogy that I make, the parking lot analogy that you said woke you up in the middle of the night after hearing it for a couple of years, and it finally clicked and you put everything together. And you did a call on it, kind of working backwards, that helped a lot of people. So, I guess speaking of helping a lot of people, I just want to say my thanks to you and how much effort, energy, and hard work and sharing your knowledge that you have done inside of the group. And we have seen tremendous growth. People build some very beautiful businesses. People that do it part-time and are doing great, full-time, people that have started doing this full-time, left their job, retired, side income. And I just want to thank you and everybody else who is involved in the group, because for me personally, I'll be honest, sometimes I think like I say all of this stuff and I think that it doesn't connect or hit in the way that I want it to hit. And like for me, I want everyone to win and to crush it. And like seeing all of that stuff just like reinforced all the hard work that you guys have put in, that I've put in. And like, man, I have like a whole new breath and a whole new motivation. And I don't need much more motivation. I give it my all. If you guys are listening, my voice is almost gone. I think I did 9.5 hours of calls yesterday for all different sets of
It
people. We had
was
the Yeah,
insane.
we had the morning call. I did the 100K call for people that do over 100,000, kind of a little bit of a higher level next steps. They want to talk about hiring, get space. Um, and then we did kind of a smaller group at 4 o'clock. And then I did my 7 o'clock call to the cows come home. So I joked around a little bit before this that Michelle, you might have to carry us home. I might have to limp in during this call because my voice is gone. But we're showing up here and we're getting it done. But
And you did 77,000 steps on your treadmill
yeah,
yesterday because
35 miles straight.
you always talk and are on the treadmill at the same time. So that's a testament to how much time
You know what's funny? I used to measure stuff in time. Now I measure it in miles. So
in
yesterday I
miles,
did
yeah.
35 miles of work straight.
That's the best thing ever.
But overall, so how's everything going for you the last couple of weeks, last couple of months? How's the new year treating you? And like I said, I do thank you and really do highly appreciate you for everything that you give to the group, your knowledge. I know pretty much everything to know about eBay, and you might be giving me a run for my money when it comes to knowing everything about eBay. So when it comes to both of us, if we don't know it, it might not be
Nobody
able to
knows
be
that. I
known.
don't think it's known between the two of us. I think
Yeah,
we know, yeah, unless they change something. But
yeah.
we managed to pivot pretty quick
I,
when something changes on eBay. So
I actually learned something yesterday in the group that you knew that I didn't know. Someone asked, how do they turn off buyer notes? And I was like, I don't know if you could do that. But then they screenshotted a post where you gave them the step by step, and you know how to do that. So I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know it was possible for you to turn off that buyer sent a note on this
oh yeah,
transaction, but you knew how to do that. I didn't think that was possible. So like I learned something new about eBay yesterday for the first time in a long time. So
it's very rare that you run a category or an item that you don't want customers to send you a note along
yeah,
with the thing. But
yeah.
I was doing jewelry that was pre Thomas, really?
Don't worry.
Goodness.
Thomas is the co-host. He's a great co-host.
Dog across the street. So I was sending out like pre-made jewelry with names on it. And people would call and or put a note in there and want to customize it. and I don't customize or pre-made. So like,
Gotcha.
I was constantly having to answer them back. So I had to figure out how to like, so they wouldn't send a note with the order saying, put the name Chad
Right.
on there when it's a Samantha bracelet.
Right. And someone asked them in the group and they said, "Why would you want to turn it off?" And I was thinking kind of the same thing. Why would you want to turn it off? And your explanation makes sense. And he kind of had a good explanation. He said that if a customer is going to message them, he wants it to be in a message so that way it could be a conversation and maybe he can upsell them to purchase more items or send them a coupon or ask them to follow the store.
Yeah.
So I guess that does make sense. Um, but for me, usually what comes across in that note is, hey, change the address to this. Like that is usually what comes across. And for
Right.
me, I just do it. So but today, very exciting day. We had a fantastic Wednesday show and tell call on the BOLOs. I almost fell off my treadmill maybe 5 times. And with what Chrissy was showing, and we don't have to go into detail, but I
No.
have never in my life saw a deal with what she came up with, and she found it on making posts like we talk about. And
Yeah.
she lives in the middle of nowhere, and she
I
made a
lived in the
post.
same town that she lives in, and I can verify that this is in the middle of nowhere. It's 150 miles to get to my town, and
Wow,
it's 150 miles to get to the next town next to it. There's about 2,500 people in town, 7,500 people over 14,000 square miles.
wow,
Um, as a total, it's the government like calls it frontier land.
Frontierland.
Like you can't live in a smaller town.
Man, and when she first came to the group, she used to say, I live in a small town. I'm having trouble finding stuff. And she's been making these posts. She's been networking. She's been learning new brands. And the deal that she came up with, I literally fell off the treadmill. That is the most amazing thing that I have ever seen in my life,
Yeah,
ever. And it
yeah.
just goes to show this stuff is everywhere, big town, small town, it doesn't matter. And on my videos, what I'm doing on my videos, I already know I can go down the street to my thrift store and I can crush it. I already know that. I already know I
Right.
can go to my flea market, I can crush it. So what I do as a challenge, like a self-imposed challenge, is I'm going to these flea markets 5 hours away from my house, 3 hours, 4 hours that I've never been before. And as a challenge, I've never been here. I don't know what to expect. I'm showing you by having the knowledge, you can go out and find this stuff despite any sort of obstacles wherever you are, big town, small town. I'm going to flea markets that have, 1,000 people in the whole city and still doing fine. And this might be controversial. And I was talking to it with my friend from earlier. I think coming from the city and going to these small towns, I think I have a humongous advantage.
I think so too. Because there's a lot of
Humongous.
people that are not resellers. Like you have competition in the bigger cities
That's what
with
we were
other
talking about.
resellers. And if you're going to a small town flea market, there's no competition.
No
You can find
competition.
nuggets of gold out there.
And I was talking to my friend, he's from Tennessee, and he says down here, he's having a hard time finding stuff, but he says, I just might go to Tennessee twice a month and find everything and come back because when I go up there, nobody knows what I'm looking for. And he said also down here, it's more of a hustle and grind mentality because everyone has all of these bills. He said he knows people that make 10,000 a month and are flat broke, have nothing to show for it because the bills are so high.
Right.
And he's like, I go to Tennessee and they'll give me Lululemon for $1 because their bills are so low too. So like they don't need to sell it for 10. They're happy getting $1 or $2. And like I think that if you are in like a tertiary market and you could travel out a couple hours, maybe 2 hours to go to a flea market out in the sticks, I think you have a huge advantage. And also you could live in the sticks and still get the same advantage by acquiring the knowledge
Right.
and learning the stuff. But I
That's what
I
Chrissy did. Like she was telling me the other day, she's like, we were talking about it one day on the clothing call, and I suggested a niche for her, and her whole
oh yeah.
thought process like shifted.
Yeah.
Like just with one suggestion,
Yeah.
I don't even know if I made it. Like somebody else might have made it, but Like it suits the town that she's in.
Yeah,
It was perfect for her. And once she shifted her mindset of like what she should be like,
yeah,
the should be's,
sure,
you're not going to go to usually a little country town and find sports jerseys in abundance to the
sure,
point where you can make a living. But there's other things, like there's some places that are active, like bird watching communities, or fly fishing is huge, or, you know, Western towns,
sure.
or,
Or maybe Cape Canaveral, you start learning about NASA, or if you live in Houston, you start
absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely, you got to be looking for that stuff. And so you have to lean into what's around you. Like we all can't sell clothing, we all can't sell Vineyard Vines, Tommy Bahama. Sure, it would be great, but like I can't sell Carhartt 50 or 100 at a time. I would love, but it's not in abundance around here. So like if you
There's
live in
no
Maine,
Carhartt faucet in Florida. I'm
right.
sorry, it's just
So
not
like
going to happen. You
if you
find
live
it when
in
you find
Maine,
it.
if you live in Maine, become an LL Bean expert because it's up there. If you
Right.
live in the Carolinas, become a denim expert because that's where all the cotton mills were and the denim mills were. So like wherever you are, you have to lean into that advantage that you do have. Like you said, if you live in the Midwest, maybe clothing is not for you, and maybe you need to start selling antique farm equipment. Like there's money out there. There's big money out there for this stuff. You just have to, gain the expertise. And odds are, like Chrissy, she grew up around that stuff already
Probably,
and
yeah.
she knew about it. So she knew enough about it to take advantage of it and really go a little bit harder in that direction. So, like, it's just a beautiful thing. Like, all of these opportunities and, you know, people being able to take part in them and, being smart, working hard, and actually seeing, really, really good growth. And, I was talking with Thomas also because Thomas, not Thomas the dog, but Thomas the guy. And
This is
Thomas the
Thomas the
guy,
dog, if anybody's
yeah.
at.
Yeah. So Thomas, the guy, he was the very first member in the group, and he has probably seen the most growth. And I told him the same thing, like I was just talking about with you. And he was like, I know you're a Grinch inside, but if you weren't a Grinch, I'm sure this would make you happy. But I'll be honest, it does make me happy. All you guys doing a good job and winning. And I am so, so proud of all of you guys. So I just
Been
appreciate,
watching you the last probably couple of months, and you're really leaning into, you've really, because you're pulling back from the way you were selling before. You're still on eBay, you're still active, you're still selling it a heck of a lot more than most of us are on eBay. But you're also like focusing a lot of your energy on the group and positivity, and being able to source where people say that they can't source. And
yeah,
it's been really cool to watch you go back and have fun with this.
yeah.
Like I can see you at the flea market since you started the YouTube channel, and I can see you at the flea market, and you're just having a blast out there.
Yeah. That was always the plan. I've talked about this plan for like 3 years with you guys, and I told you every single step of
Oh,
the
you
way.
did.
I
You
said,
did.
on this date, this is going to happen. On this date, this is going to happen. I told you guys on this date, January 1st, there's no more clothing going into my store. And that's what
Right.
happened. And just like in May, all the clothing will be gone out of my store. In February, I had 53,000 items. Today, I got around 20,000 items. What did we call it? I'm taking it in for some kind of controlled spiraling ballet type of landing. I'm taking this thing in for a smooth, controlled landing. And I've been talking about this for a long time. So I do like that I've outlined this the whole time that I'm gonna work as hard as possible for 15 years. I'm gonna reach a point, and then I'm gonna scale it down how I've been doing,
Right.
and then I'll get the 50-year vacation. That's very important for me to show people that if you do work hard, and we all work hard, if you do work hard, you have your eyes on the prize, you have that big final goal. You
Right.
work hard, you put the pieces of the puzzle together that, using reselling as a vehicle, you can accomplish anything and you can have all the the biggest luxury to me is options. And
Right.
reselling has given me the luxury of having options. And reselling is a great vehicle for having options. It's great for people that have kids. It's great for people that work part-time. It's great for people that want to do this part-time. We all can use eBay as something optional that works around everything that we have. And I think a lot of people they either don't fully grasp that or they don't fully take advantage of, that eBay is so flexible. It's there if you want to build $1 million businesses,
Right.
and it's also there if you only want to do it on the weekends. It's also there if you want to find one cool item and throw it up and never list anything again. And like having all of those options is like such a beautiful thing that I wished, everybody would truly take advantage of. And, there are a lot of people that do, and you know, it's just a very cool thing, and I get very excited about it, and that's why I could talk about it for 9 hours and still have my energy up because I'm so pumped up about the opportunity.
I know
Um,
ever since you and I started talking earlier, like you've been pumping up and up and up and up. I'm watching your energy level come up because you
yeah,
came in dragging like, oh my gosh, I don't know if my voice is gonna hold.
yeah, we got it though. We got it. We're on the home stretch
You're
now.
warming up now.
I'm all warmed up. So, one of the biggest concepts that we talk about in the group, the number one focal point has always been sell through. And, without sell through, you end up listing items that never sell. You end
Right,
up picking up items that take too long to sell for too little return. So the example that we use kind of just as an example and just kind of like the median in the middle of the road is a lot of people say, you ask them what their goal. My goal is to make $100,000 profit. That's usually the standard goal for most people. Great, excellent, fine. So the easiest, least resistant way to do that is to sell 14 items a day at a $20 profit. That
right,
will get you to $102,500 a year. Now, that is the least resistance way. If you want to sell $10 profit items, then you have to sell 28 of them a day. If you
right.
want to sell $1 items, then you have to sell 280 of those a day. So the farther away you get from that $20 profit just guideline, the more shipping, packing, photography you have to do. Or on the other side of the extreme is you find one item a year that you can sell for $100,000 profit. So we have to find our way wherever on that scale from $281 items to one item for the whole year that sells for $100,000 profit. We have to find our way inside of that spectrum. There's no right or wrong way to any of it.
And I think that's why we picked the 20 because 20 is it, you can
Possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that hard to find in the thrift store. There's pretty much inventory for that. We can find it in most thrift stores across the country. It's a nice price point.
Yeah.
And it's 14 items, 14, 15 items a
Yep.
day. That's not very much listing. So it's not like listing 50,
Right.
60, 70. You were up to 125 by yourself at
Yeah,
one
and
point.
that's why
So
it's the
like,
least resistance because it's
right.
14. It's
Yeah.
not 40, it's
Yeah.
14.
Yeah.
And
Most people can do 14 in before 9 o'clock in the morning,
sure.
you
And
know.
if you haven't seen the previous podcast before this, I actually went through all of the numbers. I busted out the whiteboard and
You
gave you all of
did.
the math. So please go back and watch that one. It's a very important call, but it kind of goes over this example on how
Got
to
super
always be
animated.
profitable.
You read out the whiteboard. You were super animated.
It's exciting. Building businesses is exciting.
I
So
know.
so it goes over how to run a profitable reselling business from day one. We should never be not profitable as long as we are concentrating on the sell through and concentrating on the spread of the items. So
Right.
when we do talk about sell through, when we talk about that $20 profit per item, one of, or probably, the most important thing that we track in the group is our metrics. And our metrics in the group are defined by the profit per item and then the sell through.
Right.
So every single day we report into the group how many did we list the previous day that met the metric. So just to use it as an example, stay on the $20 profit example. If your business is, I sell $20 profit items that sell through in 90 days, that is your metric. If you come to the call and you report that one out of the 10 items that I listed yesterday is actually a $20 profit that sells through in 90 days, then do you really run that business? And the answer is no. So if 9 of those were $12 profits that sell through in 8 months, that's what your store is going to turn into, and that's what your store will really end up being. So
Ultimately be, yeah.
the profit portion is one, the sell-through portion is another. Now, because this is just an example, people can get stuck on that. Okay,
They got
but
super stuck on it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this item I'm only going to make $15 on. Should I pick it up? Yes or no? And since we're working on averages, it's a sliding scale.
Right.
So if you sell half of your items for $15 and you sell half of your items for $25, you still have a $20 profit average.
Right.
Now, this with that said, this is the other side of the coin. If you are going to sell, if your guideline is $20, if you are going to sell items for a $15 profit, they have to sell through quicker. You can't have the $15 profit and it's going to take a year to sell.
Right.
So if something is going to take a year to sell, that needs to have a home run return. That needs to be $100, $200, $300 profit because our money is out for much longer. So
Right.
if our money is not out for that long, it can return less profit. So we use this example sometimes too, and you can put it down below. And there's no right or wrong answer for this. If you could pick up a CC Filson jacket and it will guaranteed sell today for $100, I'm guarantee you it will sell today. How much would you pay for that $100 sale? And some people will say, I would pay no more than 10, I would pay 20, I would pay 30, I would pay 50. Some people say, I would pay $85 and be happy making a $5 profit because it's going to sell today.
It's all today. Yeah.
Right. So if it's going to sell today, I will accept a much smaller margin.
Right.
If it's going to sell in 1 year and I'm going to have my money out, then I'm going to need a better return.
Right.
So in order to illustrate that in kind of like an analogy, I thought about, every city you go to, they have a downtown district where you have to pay to go park. They all do. They have a parking lot. Maybe
Right.
the best business in the world because there's no overhead. You literally just park cars every single day. No cost of goods, no overhead, no fixing the roof. Everyone buy parking lots. So if you have a parking lot where it has 100 parking spots and you charge $5 a day to park all day, just because you charge $5 all day doesn't mean the car has to stay all day, but that's what you charge. So if there's 100 spots and you charge $5, you're going to make $500 today if every single one of those cars stays for the whole day, open to close, no one comes, no one goes. Now, if there's 100 spots and you can move in 200 cars in the day in the same amount of spots, now you've doubled your money. So instead of making 500 for the day, now you've made $1,000 for the day. So if you can park more cars in the same garage, because our warehouses, our bedrooms, our storage units, our inventory spaces are not indefinite. They are finite. We can all fit X amount of items in the setup that we have now. So you might have a parking garage that could fit 7,000 items in your house. But
Right.
if you can park 14,000 cars in there this year, you're going to make way more money than if you can only park 7,000. So,
Exactly.
so when we're looking at our sell through is parking more cars in the same slots in the same spots. And the
Right.
more cars you can park in your garage, the more money you have going out and coming back and returning with profit. Going out, coming back, returning with profit. Where if you only could park 7,000 in your garage and you sell 3,500 of those other cars got to get moving because we have to park more cars and make more money on parking spots.
Right.
So I've talked about that analogy quite a few times. And, Robert has talked about it in the beginner call. And he runs a fantastic beginner call. Just
Oh my
his
God.
tone
Yeah.
and his cadence is perfect for beginners. Like,
He's got a radio voice, man.
so great. And like, never gets frustrated.
No,
He
he's
has,
awesome.
yeah, between him and Isaiah, they both have
Oh,
you
I know.
know, the
They
the
bring different
patience.
energy, but like, oh my God, they're
Yeah,
so smart
so
and so
smart.
great.
Patience of saints, happy to
Yeah,
answer questions, never get
yeah,
frustrated. They have a gift to explain something five different ways.
exactly.
So like if you don't understand it this way, they'll say, okay, let me explain it that way.
Well,
So
Isaiah is a teacher,
yeah,
so like that's his degree, so that is
yeah,
explains him. Robert's just a natural, man.
great guy, great guy. And boy, if you get him started in the comments of a Facebook group, he might write you something this
Yeah,
long
exactly.
and it'll go in depth and now I read it in his voice, which is funny. Now I read
I
all of
know,
Robert's
yeah.
posts in his voice, and man, by the time I'm done, I'm like, "Hmm, that was a great post, Robert."
I love watching those beginner calls because he's just so mellow.
Yeah. So he went over the parking lot analogy, and then
Yeah.
you said a couple weeks ago you sat up in bed in a cold sweat. The parking lot analogy hit you. You got it.
I understood everything that you were like been saying to me for like 2.5 years. All of a sudden, it all came together. Well, no, I understood the parking lot analogy, but you come at it this
Just
way,
black and
like
white. Yeah.
face forward and all the math. And I understand the math. I totally get it. So I understood sell-through rate. I understood um uh like space, like
Yeah.
doing figuring out how to do your space. I understood how to figure out like what your profit margins were.
Hmm.
But like all of a sudden, I woke up in the middle of the night and I understood. I think it was after the last podcast with the whiteboard. I,
Okay.
I was listening to it in the background, and I'm not a super mathy person. I understood all of it anyway, but like you were so animated. I love listening to you just get excited about stuff. So I must have been mulling on it that night because I woke up and I was like, I get it now. Like I get how all of that stuff works together. And I was like, I wonder how many other people, because people in the group were starting to say, should I take this offer because it takes me to less than $20?
Yeah.
And that's not my metric.
Right.
Or should I pick this up because it's, a $15 profit, but it's got, it's like, well, what's the sell-through rate? Like
Right.
that's important. So like all of a sudden it all came together for me and I was like, oh my God, I get it. And I wonder how many other people have all the pieces but don't get it. So I was like, I gotta talk about this in the closing call. Basically, what you just said, I work backwards. So whenever I do goal setting, I always set it from like where I want to be and then work backwards to figure out the steps that I need to take to get me there, all the way down to a daily thing.
Right.
So when I think about time, I say, okay, how much time do I have to work on eBay every single day?
Hmm.
I want to work off of that because like if you have 18 hours a day, that's different than a mom with 3 kids at home during the summer who may have an hour here or 2 hours where she has a babysitter
Right.
or when her husband comes home or anybody that's a caretaker knows that they have to be flexible with their time and you've gone through caretaking stuff when your son was young. So I always do this with time too. It's like take the amount of time that you have, then you figure out how much you can get done in 1 hour. And then you know how much you can set your listing goal for. So, like, if you know you only have X amount of hours per week, I only have 6 hours this week to get stuff done. What's a realistic listing goal for me to have? What can I get done in 1 hour? So then you can multiply it by the amount of hours that you have.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's how I kind of work. That's how my brain works. And so, like, when the cogs came together and the parking space analogy, I've always loved, but it's like, okay, I've got the parking garage. If I work backwards from that and I set my goal, let's say my goal is 100,000 a year. And I figured out my space part of it. And my space part of it is I have 500 parking spaces. So that means I got to make $200 per parking space, right? To to pay for that space for the year, I got to make $200 a year in that space. If I'm not making $200 a year in that space because stuff isn't flipping fast enough or I don't have high enough value stuff, then it's like my brother-in-law's parking there for free.
Right.
It's draining my business some money because it's taking away from something more valuable that could be there,
Yep.
that can move and pay for itself versus it being there and not paying for itself.
Yep.
Nobody wants the brother-in-law that's parking for free,
No.
right?
Mm-mm.
Or parking for, less than what it's going to take to pay for that space.
Yep.
So, because that's draining your business. So, if I am selling things with a $10 profit, I've got to flip that 20 times during the year.
Right.
So, my sell through rate has got to be like, what is that as a sell through rate?
20 times for the year, that's every 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, so you better have something that's a fast flipper at $10 profit.
Right.
And or you have to price it to the point where it's moving
Right.
and go to that point. Like you have to price it below market so it stimulates it and gets it out of there so you can put something better in there.
Absolutely.
If I've got something that is uh worth a $200 profit, I like to flip it once, right?
Sure.
So it can have a year-long sell-through rate because it's going to pay for its spot.
Right.
So when I'm figuring it out in the thrift store, I need to do the 1 to 100 exercise that we talk about.
Yep.
I gotta know what the profit is, and I need to do this, and then I need to know what the average sell-through rate is on that item. And so if I know how much it's worth and I know the sell-through rate and I know how much I need to make per year, then I may know how many times it has to flip.
Absolutely. Yep.
And people were like, "Oh my God, that makes so much sense to me." So I think the way you guys approach it is it makes total sense. But in my brain, because I work backwards and I don't work with a lot of math, I understand the math, but I don't work with math very well. And I don't teach math very well. I can teach visuals.
Sure.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just a metaphor for sell through. That's all it is.
right,
And
that's all it
and
is.
and the reason why it makes sense to use the parking lot analogy is because a couple weeks before that, we did an exercise in the group where we showed people how to diagram their space.
Right,
And then that tells you like how much inventory can I actually fit in my space.
right.
So that gives everybody their own ownership of their own downtown parking garage where they say, okay, I can only park 2,000 cars here, max.
Well, and if I'm living in Washington, D.C. in a studio apartment and I have one closet that
Right.
I'm working out of, and I want to make $100,000 a year out of that closet,
Yeah.
like I gotta figure it out.
You got to park a lot of cars
You
and
either park a lot of cars or you park some expensive cars in there.
one or
Like
the other. Yep.
they've gotta pay for themselves. If you've
Absolutely.
got, an 8,000 square foot barn in the back of your property,
Right.
then that's a total, or warehouses like you have still.
But
Um,
even still,
like, but you have to pay for those warehouses. So
right.
you gotta, like, you have a
Every single
realistic,
item costs money to sit there.
yeah. So I have a 3-car garage and I chose the house that I live in because it's got a 3-car garage, but I don't have an infinite amount of space.
Right.
So I have to be able to map it out. And so what I was encouraging people to do is to map it out as it is, as it stands today. Like with the racks that you have, with the way that you're storing things right now, you may get another rack, which will change the dynamics, and you can do the math really quick to figure it out.
Hmm.
But where you stand right now, how many parking spaces do you have?
Right.
Then take your total number of what you want to make per year this year and divide it by space.
Exactly. And
So,
then that will also give you like the profit per item that you should aim for. So that gives you your profit per item and that gives you your sell through rate. And you could kind of play with those. And the faster it sells through, the less profit that you have to get, the wider acceptance range of items that are acceptable. Where
right,
the slower they sell, now you have to be way more picky because now you have to really get a lot of money every single time an item does sell. So, it is like a little bit complicated and like it's a little bit, it's like it's more than just listing items on eBay. Like there's a lot involved if you want to do it for a living, if you want to have like, a very successful side hustle, like all of these things matter. So if you have a warehouse or a storage unit and your storage unit is $100 and you could fit 100 items in your storage unit, it costs you $1 a month to store those items.
right.
Where if it takes you a year to sell through, it costs you $12 to sell that item just to store it. And this is just round numbers for example, but let's say when you pick that item up, it was a $20 profit. But if you paid $8 for it and now it has taken 12 months to sell and it costs you 12 months to store, there's
Right.
no more money left.
Yeah.
So that's why like getting space, it complicates it and you really have to be on top of this stuff. Otherwise, you think you're making money, but all of these overhead and all these expenses really does, they kind of death by a thousand paper cuts on all of your items where if you are staying at home, you do have that advantage where you're not paying for external space technically, but you are paying for it because you're paying more rent due to the larger space. You're allocating a certain section of your house. So
Yep.
even if your rent is $1,000 a month and you've allocated 20% of your house, you're still paying $200 a month for your own storage unit to
Yep.
house your items. And if you got 200 items, you're paying $1 a month for these items.
But and it's infinite, like if you're trying to build a business, you can't have it, you can't be listing junk. Like you can't
No.
be having stuff that's draining your business. You
Yeah.
have to be able to like maximize we all have restraints
Yeah.
with what we can do. And there's only so many hours of the day. That's why we say, $20 profit, $20 profit. But like it also takes you away from taking offers. Like, you get precious about your stuff and say, well, it's worth that parking space. You got to flip it sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to get it moving because it's been sitting there just a little too long. It's starting to grow some roots in that parking space and it needs to be moving. And so sometimes if you've got a long tail item or you've got a piece of junk in your store, like especially with the junk, and I think most of us have junk that we think is should be profitable that we have overpriced in our stores. And when somebody comes through and makes us a an offer, I'm pretty happy if it's making me any kind of profit because that means I'm flipping it. I'm taking that money out now. But I used to be a lot more precious about it. It's like, no, I want that extra $2. I want that, you know,
Well, this is where the analogy really hits. So if you have an item that you see the comps is going to make $15 profit, but it has a 6 month sell through.
right,
If someone sends you an offer in month two and that offer is only going to give you $10 profit, people are going to counter because they know this is a $15 profit item. Okay, fine. So they wait the 6 months, they get the $15 profit.
Right.
They go out and they buy another item. They park the same car in the same parking spot. So that parking spot has two cars in it this year. Both of them have a 6 month sell through. That parking spot gave them a $15 profit for the first 6 months. It gave them a $15 profit for the last 6 months. That parking spot produced $30 of profit for them. Where if they would have accepted the $10 profit in month two, they could have flipped that parking spot 10 times or 6 times this year. And now they have $60 profit versus the original $30 profit because they were waiting for the extra $5. So
Exactly.
technically speaking, that extra $5 of profit where I made an extra $5, that cost you $30 in that parking spot over the course of this year.
Yeah.
And that is where it really hits hard. So like when you talk about like fast flip, fast nickel, slow dime, if you double a penny for 30 days, it's $5.3 million.
Yeah.
Now, double one penny to two pennies is easy. Two pennies to four is easy. But once you get up to doubling 400,000 into 800,000, that's hard. But we can all just, hit doubles, hit triples, 4 times our money, $5 into 20. Just take all of that stuff because there's no shortage of inventory. There's none. There's no shortage. Park as many cars as you can inside of your parking garage. And if the offer is somewhere in the ballpark and there's no shortage of inventory and you can walk into any thrift store in America and replace the item, get that car out of there and park the same exact Honda Civic in that thing again.
Yeah.
You could go out and find another J. Crew shirt. You could go out and find,
Yeah.
another Abercrombie and Fitch jacket. They're all over the place. Now, if it's a vintage AC/DC shirt that's worth $250, if someone sends you a $20 profit offer and someone sends you $33.15, do you take the offer? No. Because now
Right.
you have a Rolls Royce parked in that garage. You need to wait. You need to give it a little bit more
You
respect
could give it a little more respect. Yeah. And you've got the luxury of giving it a little more respect.
because it's going to get you more profit.
Exactly.
Right.
Because it's paying for itself more than itself in that space. So you can give it a little bit longer and you can wait for the right buyer for it. And you can counter on those. But if it's like a Forever 21 basic t-shirt, dude,
Right.
that's your brother-in-law.
If you can walk into any thrift store and replace the item, sell
Exactly.
that thing, collect your money, and get up the road. But
If
like
somebody's offering you something for it, take it.
for some of these items, yeah. If you have an item that, like you said, the tires are running flat because they've been beat up by the
Yeah,
sun and that car's been there for too long, get your original investment back and go get yourself a better opportunity.
right. Hot garbage.
Yeah, get it out of here. But if you do run across those items, that's going to get you the $100 profit, a $200 profit, because we're all going to run across it if we stay at this long enough. Let's just say for an example purposes, your average cost of goods is $5. You hit a home run, you sell an item that gives you $100 profit. That gives you the opportunity to park 20 more cars. You
Right.
turned your $5 into the opportunity to get 20 more opportunities. And if you are aiming for a $20 profit, you turn your $5 into 20 more opportunities that can get you $400 in profit. And then it gets your original investment back. So now you got $500 because you spent cost of goods $5 on 20 items. So now you got $500. Now that $5 on the third flip gives you the opportunity for 100 more opportunities. And that's when things start getting crazy because now those 100 opportunities at a $20 profit can get you $2,000 back
Right.
on
That
your
takes
fourth
our
generation.
businesses from the trickle to turning on the faucet.
Absolutely.
That's
On
where it like gets insane.
the fourth generation of a $5 item.
Yeah.
Or hold on to that item that you bought for five and wait for every single penny of that money. And you cost yourself four flips, which could be 3 months, 2 months, six
Yeah.
months. You cost yourself four generations down the line of $2,000 profit. And then you take that 2,000, you still have opportunities left and right coming in. And guess what? If you have 500 more opportunities, I bet one or two of those is going to be another $100 profit where you could do the same thing over and over
Heck
again.
yeah. I get my stuff wholesale. I ended up with that Magnolia
Yeah.
Pearl jacket
Yep.
in a wholesale box. Like it was a $500 jacket.
Yep. And that goes out and gives you 500 or 100 more opportunities.
Holy moly, it more than paid for its space. Yeah. And I sold it in like 2 weeks. Me coming across that was like insane. I didn't know what I had until I had it, and I was like running comps on it. It was like crazy. But there's opportunities. My point is not that like I got this cool thing, but my point is that there's opportunities in every single way we do this business, and there's no end to the possibilities.
None. None. But you have to be smart. So when you
Yeah.
do get that $500 score, you got to go right back to the store and buy quality
Yeah.
items. You can't
Yeah.
go back over there and buy junk. You can't go to Sizzler. You can't get a bunch of new stuff. Pay
No.
your bills, but be disciplined with that money and go right back to the store and give yourself as many opportunities as you can because that 500 bucks can turn into 2,500 in a
Oh,
couple of months.
yeah. How much money did that turn into for me
Right.
at my cost of goods? It's like, yeah, that gave me a lot.
Yeah. And
So,
that's what I went over on the whiteboard last week. And that that's why like there's only two ways that you are not running a profitable reselling business. And one of them is you are just undisciplined with your spending and you are just spending recklessly, or you are buying stuff and either not listing it or the stuff is not selling through fast enough. Those are the only two ways. With the margins that this affords us, 100% return on investment and like thousands of percent return on investments, those are the only two ways that you are not running a profitable reselling business is just wickedly undisciplined spending and then items that are not selling fast enough.
right.
And
Well, and I think when people like when their budgets are tight or they have a tendency to like aim towards, I gotta make every penny off of this stuff. And it's really the opposite.
yeah,
You gotta turn it faster.
yeah.
Um, and I think that's we turn greedy when money is tight and we start like trying to clutch the pearls. When everything is running really smoothly, then we're like willing to take it, for me at least. I'm much more willing to take offers if I'm making a lot of money because I can see it churning. But if the money's tight because I overspent this month, it is interesting because I start clutching
Mm.
and getting a little too precious with the junk. So,
I too went through a stage like that. There was a time in my eBay career way back when I was new where if I wanted, let's say, $20 for the item and someone sent me an offer for 18, I counted them back 19.99. I absolutely did. Like in my first year or so, I absolutely forego the $20 bill coming back to get
right,
$2 extra. And sure, it converts sometimes, but sometimes it don't. And sometimes you hold on to that item for 4 months, where how much money could you made with that $20 bill that they were trying to give you? But then I really started going into the every Wednesday I would do a manual markdown. And this was before they had like the markdown manager. And
right.
every single Wednesday I went in through my store. And if I had something listed for 38.88, I would mark it down to 34.44. And if I still had it, it would be 28.88 and then 24.44. And I was blowing stuff out back then because I had bills to pay and I needed the money now.
Yeah, yeah. And you did it.
That's the beautiful part about it is that we all get the option to do and run our business however you want. But the folks have adopted the policy of some of the money all the time is better than all of the money some of the time.
Right.
Those are the people whose charts are up a tremendous amount, and none of them are crying the blues that they've missed out on a couple of dollars. And
No, if it's less than a cup of coffee, like at Starbucks right now, like we will go and spend $10 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks,
right,
but we're not willing to take $2 off of this H&M shirt that we've had for 6 months sitting in a bag in our garage.
jeez.
Like seriously.
Yeah, it is kind of mind blowing, but I was also explaining to Isaiah this weekend that, the sum of the money all the time mentality, it ends up actually being all of the money all the time
Yeah.
because you get all the sales because you're okay taking two less bucks, four less bucks,
Yeah.
six less bucks because
eBay loves us,
yeah, the
customers
customer
love us,
loves
and
it
it comes back.
and you get the sale rather than passing it to somebody else. And
Yeah.
we never remember, like we always fail to remember, like, you know, pricing a silly Nike shirt for 19.99 that originally retails for 19.99 brand new, and then we sell it for 19.99, buy it now. Like we don't remember those.
No.
Like all the items that sell for more than what they should have, we don't
Yeah.
remember those. But we all remember and get greedy on the $2 that someone shorted us on. But like you could go right now on eBay and you can search AC/DC shirt or Led Zeppelin shirt. And there are people selling those shirts for $25 plus shipping. And those shirts are at Walmart right now for $8.88. Same shirts. Same shirts. I know because I've done this many times.
Right.
No one remembers that part.
Right.
We always remember where someone gave us a low ball offer and they were a couple bucks under what we wanted. But that's why we work on averages and all this evens out because for a lot of our items, we get more than what we really expected. How many times have we had something listed for 28 bucks and someone does send us an offer for 26, but we would have taken 15. We don't remember that $26 offer.
No.
Or how about this? How many times do we have an item listed for 29.99 and we have a 25% off coupon and someone sends you an offer for above what the coupon was? We don't say anything about that. We don't remember that.
No.
That's why all of this stuff evens out and it's okay.
I figure as long as on the lower end stuff, if as long as I'm in profit, I'm good. And I've gotten to the point where it's just like I'm having yes days every day.
Nice.
The faucet is full blast. I
Nice.
took a little bit of a breather right at the end of the year to get some stuff organized and to really hit the ground running for the new year. And but I was having yes days every day. Like I was taking offers like crazy. I never really slowed down a whole lot just because it's slow now because it's the first of the year and now it's finally hitting. But I had because I was willing to take offers, because I was like taking the lowball offers, I made some really good money in the last 2 weeks of the year where
Nice.
other people were saying it's completely dead.
Nice.
Completely dead.
Yeah, if you're, I mean, let's face it, eBay is a marketplace to wheel and deal. So like people are coming on eBay looking for a deal. Our
Yeah,
prices for stuff sometimes is astronomically too high in the example of an AC/DC shirt that you can get brand new at Walmart. I mean, go look at J. Crew prices on there. Go look at all these mall brands. Look at the prices on eBay and look at how much this stuff is at the mall.
right.
We're priced pre-owned higher than it is at the mall for a lot of this stuff. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
crazy thing is, people are still worth they will still spend the money. They'll give you good prices for this stuff.
Yeah.
So, you just be a
We
little
don't
bit
think
less
about, yeah,
precious.
like you said, we don't think about the time that somebody gave us $20 for that H&M shirt that,
Was
they paid
originally
full price.
12.99. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Where they could go to the mall and pay 12.99 for that on clearance, or they could go to the website. Like
sure.
that's the best part.
Yeah,
It's like sometimes they're on clearance at the website and
yeah.
we're priced higher than they are brand new on the website. That's crazy.
Right. Or you price it at 29.99 and you're like, hey, if someone sends me an offer for 18, I'm just gonna take it. And then they send you an offer for 25. That's an extra seven
Yeah,
bucks.
yeah,
So remember that when someone sends you an offer for $7 too low, if there's still a good enough spread, take the offer and you evened out right where you're
Yeah,
supposed to be on your average. That's the name of the game right there. So, you know, I hope that in the new year 2024, I hope that sell through becomes a focus for a lot of people. I hope that learning your numbers becomes a focus for a lot of people. Do the 1 through 100 exercise that we talk about.
that's
Definitely
huge.
learn your numbers. Um, Learn how much money you make when an item sells with promoted listings. Learn how much you make for an item that sells without promoted listings. Learn how much you make if an item sells ground advantage or priority, because that's you're going to make different money. If you sell an
Exactly.
item for $20 for the cost of the item and you sell it with ground advantage shipping, you have a different profit. If you sell an item for $20 plus priority shipping, you have a different profit.
Because
So
we're
you have
paying
to know
final
this.
value fees on those shipping charges. Yeah.
Absolutely. So all of that matters. That's why it's very, very important to dive into the numbers. And we spend an enormous amount of time talking about that. Yesterday, we had a call where people were posting in the group afterwards that it messed them up for the whole day. Because I showed them how much it costs for you to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
If you run a business, it costs you money to wake up every single day. And this was inspired by me literally waking up yesterday. And before my wife said hello, before anyone said anything, she handed me a check that was already filled out, that all she needed was my signature. And it was for $7,110. In addition to all the other overhead that I have, it cost me over $10,000 to wake up every single day to keep everything going with
Right.
all of the businesses. So
Before you
we
even roll out of bed, man, bills
that
gotta get bills come every day.
every day,
You
but
always tell us.
that's for everybody, whether you're
Yeah.
working at home. If you work at home and you have a 10 a day listing goal and you spend $7 on average on your items, it costs you $70 to wake up every single day and go to work for your eBay store. And we ran Isaiah's numbers and he ended up needing $183.82 between his inventory, his brother helps him every now and then, labels, envelopes, external space, everything, his insurance, all of this type of stuff. It cost him $182.83 every single day to
Right.
wake up. So he doesn't turn a profit until he sells $208 a day. The first 208 that goes to the business, 209 he made $1 profit today. And the scary part about that, in the cliffhanger I left everybody on, was if you don't work today, because we broke it down on a 30-day basis, you still owed your business $182.83 today.
You just robbed your business $200.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Yourself. So, it's great to take days off. And inside of the group, we have developed ways to take days off by utilizing the draft bank. And like nobody out there was doing that. Like you could do 5 days worth of work and you can have 7 days worth of results. If you use the
Yep.
draft bank, how we teach people to do. So like eBay doesn't have to be a crazy grind. It could be one if you want to. Respect. You got my respect. I'm with it. But it doesn't have to be. And by using the tools that we talk about, it doesn't have to be a grind. So you can get 7 days worth of results with 5 days worth of work, and a lot of people do that so they can afford themselves the weekends off. But by affording yourself the weekends off, we still have to get some listings up, because that 182.83 from Isaiah, that was broken down on a 30-day schedule, and Saturday and Sunday he owes his business
Yeah,
$182.83.
the bills still show up.
Still show up. So that's part of being a business owner. If you don't want that responsibility, you can clock out of this right now and you can go get a 9 to 5 and let somebody else carry that burden. But we all have that burden as business owners.
Well, and that's one of the things that I appreciate about this group because, like I said, I'm not a super math person, but I've learned so much about the basics of running a business. And those are the things that really scared me when I first started out. Like I wasn't in the driver's seat. And I've been really pushing that really hard for the new year because I'm doing the New Year challenge,
Yeah.
in the group.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to figure out those numbers. And when you've got those numbers in your head and you completely understand where you stand, if you do the hard work, which isn't that hard, honestly, like it scares a lot of people to like push past
Yeah.
the math and all the stuff. But once you do it, you realize it's really not nearly as scary. We've got Cheryl, the accountant, in
Yeah.
there that helps us with our books. We've got other people that are helping us with different things. Everybody in there is an expert in their niche, so they're helping us like develop our skills there.
Yep.
You have been really so awesome as a leader to teach us how to run the business part of it and how to understand our numbers in a way that we like really have a handle on our in the driver's seat of our business instead of having the business drive us.
Well, that's
And I
probably
love that.
something that's probably something that a lot of people probably don't see. I don't teach anybody how to be a good reseller or how to resell. I just teach people how to make a business and run a business.
Right.
It's just reselling is the vehicle of choice,
It's
but
the vehicle.
it
Yeah.
it's the same philosophies if you wanted to run a lawn service. It's the same stuff that we talk about. So I think like my position in the group is just to teach you how to run a business. And I hope that, I try my best and I hope that I am doing a good job for everybody. But without all of you guys like really teaching the nuances and a lot of stuff, like I mean, Carl, that guy has more years of experience than I've been alive.
Yeah.
So like he really, really, comes in handy with that kind of stuff too. So like I really do feel like we have a very well-rounded community. But I am trying to help people build a business, and reselling is the vehicle of choice because it is like a cheat code glitch in the matrix that we can go to garage sales and get stuff for $1 and sell it for $50, but it doesn't stop there. There's so much more involved in running a business
Right.
than $1 into 50. But this is the crazy part. You might not think, I'm just doing this, whatever. Okay, fine. The government classifies it as a business, so you better start thinking about it as a business.
Exactly. Yeah. You still gotta pay taxes at the end of the year. Like
Absolutely.
seriously, like you can't just you and but it scared me. Like
It
when I
is.
first started, like I didn't know how to run a business. I knew I wanted to. I always had that mindset, but like taxes, being able to know how to do the bookkeeping side of it, knowing how to figure out the numbers, I had
Yeah.
to figure all that stuff out on my own. And even in the last 2.5 years, I've learned so much
Yeah.
from you and all the other experts that we have in the group that have been like invaluable
And
with
it's
breaking it down to the point where even the non-math people can be in the driver's seat.
it's
Like,
really tough because not only do we have to be our own buyers, we have
right,
to stage our own photos, we have to be our own photographers, we have to be our own bookkeeping, our own CPA, our own advertisers, our own
oh, it's
public
easy, right?
relations. Yeah, our own public relations, our own customer service experts,
Yeah,
our own, logistics and inventory management, our own invoices, accounts receivable. We have to do all of that. We
right.
have to wear all of those hats. It's not
But
just finding
but
an
it's
item and selling it. It's so much more involved.
But how cool is it that we can break it down for people and make
Yeah,
it to the point where it's like, I don't care what size of a business you have,
yeah.
um, that it can be broken down. You have the patience of a saint sometimes when you're teaching it. Because some people are like
I
worse
know
than,
it's hard. It's hard. So
yeah,
I
it
get
is.
it. I
The
understand.
numbers are hard.
Yeah, I
And for
understand.
a
But
lot
but
of people that,
also like Carl, we taught an old dog new tricks. Carl even has turned a new leaf. He's rocking and rolling
yeah,
all the way down to guys like Isaiah who are very young who get it. And then the guy Sam in the group. he must be 19 years old, and I think he's on track for like
I
120,000.
know.
The guy Elias in the group from his bedroom did 200,000 bucks from his bedroom. So like just to see like everyone can get it, like
Yeah.
it's possible for everyone to get it. That's mission accomplished.
It's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
cool to watch the dynamics. It's so cool to watch people grow.
Yeah.
Oh, the light bulb to come on, and it excites me. And people are so excited right now.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really.
Yeah.
Every day that I go there, I like feed off of the excitement and the
Yeah.
motivation and the cool vibe that yeah, it's changed the
It's
way that
good.
I looked at my business,
It's good.
because there was a long time that it felt like a grind, and just having that community of being able to go to people that are like-minded and really want to build this to the level of whatever they want to build it to
Yeah.
is really cool. Having leadership that is that is amazing leadership in you, seeing you on the treadmill every morning. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you're motivating me to get out of my chair.
I see
I'm
Don
nearly,
getting it in.
I'm
Don's
not,
getting it in.
I know Dawn's on her
James, Bull
treadmill.
Fines, he's getting it in.
Everybody's on their treadmill now.
Yeah.
My treadmill's getting a little bit of a workout. Yep, my
Nice.
yoga mat's taking some space now. So
But that's important though. Like if you're gonna come on here and talk a bunch, you have to walk the walk as well. And
yeah,
like when when
and you
when I
really
tell you
do.
guys, when I tell you guys like, hey, if someone sends me an offer that's in the ballpark, I'm taking it. And there's been calls where like I've had an item for 700 bucks.
Like this.
Yeah, and someone sends me an offer for 350, I say I'm taking it because with that 350, I can go out and buy 100 more items, and that
Right.
100 more items is going to make me thousands of dollars. So I'm not losing 300 bucks. I'm making
No.
thousands of dollars taking this deal. So like when I talk about doing this stuff, I'm doing it. Isaiah has come here in real life. He's seen it. Like he said, it ain't cap. Like I am doing it. So I'm not recommending things that I would not personally do myself. And I do think that that is very important. So, you're going to walk the walk, we got to talk the talk. And I think if we're all going to do this business, it is a business. The government considers it a business. So I think that we should all understand that and operate accordingly. So, the parking lot analogy, the sell through, if you didn't watch the previous podcast on the whiteboard with the numbers, please check it out. Hopefully all of these podcasts can like build on top of each other and keep building and keep buildings and kind of help a lot of people and continue to give people that want to build businesses and kind of give this a real good run, the opportunity to do so. So Michelle, with that said, I appreciate you coming on with us. I
Thank you.
appreciate all of your hard work. I appreciate how much you have helped me. um, I appreciate you jumping in on the Friday calls every now and then. That does help me a lot. And when I first started the group, I said, look, I am 100% committed. As you guys know, I'm kind of scaling things down and I'm going to take some adventures. I'm fully committed to every single Tuesday call. I'm fully committed to the morning call, but you got to give me a couple days away on the weekends because that was all part of the plan. But everyone's been great with it. And with someone as gracious as you to hold it down when I'm gone on
They put
Friday.
up with me on the Friday calls every once in a while. So like, yeah.
Yeah. So
They're
it's
like,
all
oh
good.
geez, it's Michelle again. Oh geez.
No, no. A lot of people go there. Those calls get a lot of replays. No, everything is good. No complaints. I don't think we've had a single reported post for some sort of shenanigans. It's a beautiful
No,
place.
it's
So
been really mellow.
yeah, really good.
Everybody's just kind of head down working, and they'll pop up every once in a while
Yeah,
and
good.
let everybody know how they're doing, and it's awesome.
Yep.
We had like 150 posts in the group yesterday.
Wow.
100, I think it was like 150, 160 posts in the group yesterday. So
And
like
and
people are talking. And you
And
answered, I think you went through and answered every single one of
I
them.
do. I
When
answer
I
every
could
single
tell
one
when
of
you're
them.
online because you're like, all of a sudden I see you going down through the list,
Yeah.
all the posts and catching everything.
Yeah.
So
And the 150 posts yesterday was a large contributing factor to me doing 35 miles straight.
yeah. You did
But
it to yourself, man.
yeah, but it's all good. I love answering the posts, love helping, and I hope that in some way, shape, or form that this discussion has helped everybody out in YouTube land as well. So if there's anything that we could do for you, post it in the comments. Happy to answer all of those comments as well. I literally answer every single one of those comments too.
You
Not
do.
not with a copy and paste. I type them all out.
You
So
even answer my stuff. Like when
yeah,
I comment on the post, you don't have to answer mine.
I gotta do it.
I'm
I gotta
already
win.
sold on. I love you. Like you're my
No.
friend. You don't have to answer me. I know. We'll
I
talk.
gotta do it. It's a competition. I have to beat all of you guys. If I do not respond to the post, just know I never got the notification for it. If I got the
There we go.
notification, I responded.
That's
It's
true.
it's one verse 100, one verse thousands. I will always try to get the last word.
Yeah.
So anywho, I appreciate it. This was a great episode. I hope it helped a lot of people. And again, I do appreciate you and everything that you do and you give. So thank you, Michelle, and thank you everybody out there
Jack,
for
I
listening.
appreciate you too.
And as always, be great.